Please hold as we launch the live stream.
Good evening. I'm Anuj Mehrotra, Dean of the School of Business at George Washington University, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this episode of George Talks Business Series. Today's session is brought to you in partnership and sponsorship by 1776 Startup Network, and we are here live broadcasting from their campus in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I want to especially thank Jen Mayer, the CEO of 1776, and Jeff Bruno, the CFO, for hosting us here tonight. And it is indeed, I want to thank our hosts and extend a very warm welcome to all of you here in person, alumni, parents, faculty, and staff, and all those who are watching us online today. Now, when we were talking to Jen Mayer around a few months ago, and she offered this space to us, what better person could we have imagined being our guest today than Tom Cortese, who is a wonderful entrepreneur, a GW alum, and he has been a very successful entrepreneur with the Peloton, as you all know. So I'm going to start, first of all, thank you very much for agreeing to do this, Tom.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to start by a very straightforward question, Tom. You said when we were talking earlier that you wanted to actually study politics, and that brought you to GW, but you ended up doing philosophy. What has that got to do with what you are doing today?
I mean, it's a clear, straight line. I think on my application, I put my college application. I think you had to fill in what you want to be when you grow up, and I'm pretty sure I said lobbyist. I thought I was going to lobby for a good cause, just to be clear. And GW felt like the place to be in the heart of Washington, the heart of America, to figure out how to get things done. And I'm thankful for the education that GW gave me, and my path took me where my path was going to take me.
So that's great. Now, I know that you had also mentioned in our conversation that there was something about ignorance, and I hope you were not talking about ignorance of business classes, because just imagine how successful you are here today, and if you had actually taken business classes, what exponentially, how successful you would have been. So what was that? What was that about ignorance that you were talking about, which has made you successful in some strange way?
Well, I think the question was, what would you want to have known, then that you know now when going through the process of creating something from nothing, right? 8 years ago, we started Peloton. It was an idea. We were just a few folks trying to scrap this thing together in the face of investors who didn't want to invest, staff that didn't want to join, the fact that we would go for the first 2 years doing R&D, but we had no customers and therefore no paychecks. That's a big leap to take. So what would I want to know then that I know now? And as I reflected on the question, the answer is nothing, because there is a magic in ignorance. I think I understand ignorance is bliss now for the first time. Had we known how difficult it was going to be, the roadblocks, the steps along the way, we might have gotten trapped in those details. We might have gotten trapped in trying to understand the specifics of how we would get from point A to point B versus focusing on the longer path down the sideline for that bigger dream. And so being able to hang on to that ideal and just drive every single day to try and create this thing and uncover those roadblocks as they came and then tackle them as we reach them, I think was part of the magic. And in a conversation I was having earlier, we talked about how maybe there is some grit in that GW student. There's some grit in the school that was in me that gave me that ability to push through. And I didn't get it from the business school, but I got it from the community and the campus, and that feeling of community that we have there.
Well, your story is of perseverance and passion. And you talk about it in a very different way, but there are certain skills, certain things that you have been employing in your success. So tell us a few key skills to be a successful entrepreneur.
That's, to me it comes down to, first of all, teamwork. I know it sounds like a very broad answer, but one of the ways that we were able to get done what we got done was by employing a tactic that we call divide and conquer. Each of us in those early days came with a different skill and a different passion. And we had among us a great deal of trust. So we were able to divide and conquer. We were able to go and attack each of the different problems separately, knowing that we were all pointing at that same North Star, and be able to bring it together into this cohesive whole that made the business. So I think trust and the ability to work together, the ability to recognize all of the things that you don't know. For me, that was all of the terms that the business school folks would throw around that I didn't understand. Business school folks talk in acronyms, is what I learned. And so I didn't know any of them. But that was fine. I had a bunch of folks who did know them, and they were able to let me know. Plus, there's Wikipedia. So that points then to the next skill, which is perseverance. Which so I think if you have that teamwork, that ability to divide and conquer, that ability to trust and perseverance, you wrap that up with passion and drive, there's a lot you can get done.
So clearly this conversation is not going in any anticipated direction from a business school dean's perspective. So let me change some topics along here. So let's really talk about your company. Now, how did you envision this? Now, I know my wife has bought a stationary bike multiple times, and we ended up finally using it for hanging towels till we got rid of it. What is this about your Peloton product that is so appealing, and how did you visualize that this would be a successful thing?
Well, look, we start with what is it that folks are doing in the real world? What behaviors are they participating in that is exciting them in some way, right? And what we saw was if you went to a great boutique class, whether it was your favorite yoga class, your favorite cycling class, or boot camp class, with a remarkable instructor, the feeling of the presence of others, that community sense, right? A great atmosphere, a good playlist. It was motivating folks in a way that working out in a gym, working out at home, simply wasn't. But the problem was, it's not scalable. It's really expensive. It's a destination activity for busy parents. The idea that I've got to commute to go to a gym or a club to access equipment that 50 people earlier that day sweated all over. That's probably 10 years old. When my family and I moved from the city to the suburbs, it turns out that all the remarkable instructors from the city didn't move with us, right? And so how do you attack this problem? You attack this problem with a distributed system, and so we thought, wow, okay, if you can unlock all that fun, if you can unlock all that motivational power, if you can create the feeling of the presence of a group in the privacy and convenience of someone's home, if you can bring the world's most remarkable instructors with that amazing charismatic power coupled with a real fitness drive behind them, we think we can change the shape of how this whole industry works. There's 183 million folks on the globe with a gym membership, and they're probably paying to not go.
That's correct. I know that very well, by the way. So So let me ask you this. It's a fascinating concept, right? To be in a position to really leverage this feeling of belonging in a big network and still being able to exercise from the comfort of your home and get the very best instructors telling you what to do and inspiring you to do that. Now, I was in a conversation this morning with another parent who was thinking about buying this Peloton, and she was telling me on how her family, everybody is in a different boat. Some of the folks in the family are really outside exercisers, some of them are inside exercisers, and they are going through this process. And then there was a neighbor who was getting this Peloton delivered, and she started taking pictures of this whole Peloton bike, which is coming down. So tell me what stages people go through before they commit to something like this, and and do you have any stories to tell us about that?
I mean, I love now seeing the trucks in my own neighborhood. It's still exciting for me. So, but yeah, you know, we take the approach of being where the consumer is, and so we tell our story on television. We tell our story through digital advertising. We've had a showroom, a retail presence since day one. And because we're able to create these amazing, touch points for our consumer, where maybe you saw Peloton on a commercial, and then you visited our website, you saw some digital advertising later, you heard your colleague talk about it, right? You go home and you talk to your partner about it, and eventually, you either make the choice to buy because you've heard so many good things, and that's true. People only hear good things. It's 90-something% of every single bike we've ever made still has a paid subscription attached to it today because people love it so much. So that's a lot of positive energy being emoted into the world about the bike. So that causes some sales. And sometimes you need that extra step, and you want to walk into the showroom and you could take a test drive. You can meet with our reps, and you can kind of have this experience, and then those showrooms become a touch point for the rest of your journey with us. Come back in, ask questions, refer your friends in, come get the latest shoes or the latest shirt, and stay connected to our membership.
So I get this following, and it is very major following, and the folks who have swear by it. In fact, I know of some people, and I've heard about people actually tattooing the corporate logo of Peloton, and that's a little extreme in my mind. Would you agree? But more importantly, from what I understand, and I'm just learning about this since we were going to be talking about this, that your subscription model for Peloton is such where the entire family could be using one bike. So there are still people who buy multiple bikes. Is there any reason for a family to have multiple bikes?
Look, we're not going to stop folks from making choices. But no, I mean, look, the beauty of the system. First of all, I save every single one of the tattoos that get sent in. So people tattoo our logo onto their body in excitement, and I have a special album in my phone where I save them all. I think it's the ultimate showing of loyalty. Though the number of folks still paying their subscription is also pretty good. But no, the beauty of the whole thing is, again, back to if you look at the 180-something million folks who belong to a gym. This is an industry that was set up where incentives are not aligned, right? You pay to go to a gym in January. They pray that you never show up, right? That's incentives not aligned. It's expensive. It's hard to get to, right? So there's no value there. So we've got a system where we have people whose entire jobs, right? Like almost everyone at Peloton, their job is to wake up every single day, look at how our members are moving through our system, find friction points, rip them out, right? So we're evolving the system every single day to make it so you want to work out with us even more, right? As a matter of fact, and this is data that you can find publicly, every cohort of users in our system year over year has actually worked out more in each successive year, right? So not only are they not churning out of the system, but they're becoming more active. That goes against general trends in subscription businesses, and it goes against general trends in fitness. And it's because incentives are aligned. It's because our folks spend their time trying to make you more motivated to want to participate in our system. And that's an amazing thing. And then we go one step further, right? You're paying $39 a month for access to unlimited classes for unlimited folks in your home. Maybe you start by buying the Peloton tread, or you start by buying the Peloton bike, or you start by buying our digital subscription only. And you think you're going to use one or the other, and suddenly you realize you have access to live broadcast yoga every single day, meditation classes to help you sleep at night. We do strength training. We do stretching. We do boot camp classes. We have an amazing outdoor running program. You want to run on the treadmill sometimes, then you take your phone with Peloton, you go out, and we'll coach in your ear. You can see all the other folks who are running with you at that exact same time, and you can high-five them along the way. All of a sudden, you have an instant running group wherever you are. All of that comes under that same umbrella. All of that comes under that same group of human beings inside Peloton headquarters, spending every single day trying to find out how to make those experiences better, and all of that is under the same $39. So incentives are aligned, and there's massive value. That's a winning combination.
I think it is a winning combination, particularly because on how you have integrated technology where it's almost like disappeared. So you must have worked hard for a user not to even feel that they're almost there when they are taking those classes. So what were some of the impediments, and how did you figure those out to be able to have that?
One of the impediments was every time I was hiring engineers, especially the hardware-focused engineers, and I was telling them, your job is to build hardware that disappears. They're like, well, wait a minute. I want to show off the great stuff that I do, right? Software engineers, your job is to build software that disappears. When folks talk about why they love their Peloton bike, much to the dismay of the hundreds and hundreds of engineers that we employ, nobody talks about how cool the software is, and nobody talks about how awesome the actual bike or tread is. What they talk about is how remarkable the instructors are. They talk about how amazing the experience is. They talk about how addictive it is. They talk about how the fact that they've actually gotten their husband or wife or whomever else in the household that they didn't think was going to get to use it to actually use it. Right? Those are the things that excite them. And we're able to get them excited about those things by making the technology disappear. Great technology enables new experiences. Right? It doesn't need to be in your face. So as proud as our team is of all the things that they create, they're equally incentivized to make sure that people are moving smoothly through the system, and they know that we can do that by pushing technology to the background, pushing the great experience to the foreground.
So this is obviously very fascinating and very innovative, but the world of technology is changing very fast, right? And I think as technology changes further, I could argue on one side that could be a challenge for you. Versus so you may have to reinvent yourself. So do you see that as a challenge? Are you still innovating? What's the situation there, and how do you anticipate technology change will impact your
That's it. We've
product?
Stopped innovating at Peloton. We're done.
But that's why I told you to take some business classes earlier, my friend. Constant innovation.
I hope we all have on the record that was sarcasm, just to be clear. Look, this entire journey has been, nothing but a series of challenges. We take advantage of the technology that is available today. We continue to hire remarkably smart creatives and set them free with, the goal of clearing out these friction points in the system and making sure that our members appreciate tomorrow in Peloton more than they did the day before. And as long as we continue to do that, and we have eager, excited, smart, innovative folks who have that in their blood, then as we evaluate new technologies, we'll be able to make decisions as to whether or not these are technologies that can help create and unlock new experiences, or technologies that aren't ripe or ready for that to happen. We're not going to chase a gimmicky technology because it's a technology. We're going to chase a technology because it can unlock a great experience.
Well said. So let me take it to a serious question here. In terms of you started small, now you're a big company. Tell us, first of all, where you're located, where your main offices are, where are you spread, and how many people do you have in your company? So now it's a pretty big company. So tell us a little bit about your company.
Sure. So yeah, we started the company in January of 2012. We were approximately 5 people then. We employ approximately 2,000 folks now. We're headquartered in New York City. That's our main central corporate office. We have our live broadcast facilities also in New York City. We have today three broadcast facilities, one for one dedicated to cycling, one dedicated to running and boot camp, and the other that we use for strength training, yoga, meditation, and then outdoor running happens in a sound booth. With a treadmill, because part of sorry, this is a sidetrack, but part of what we do is we say that it's always an authentic experience. So we felt odd putting somebody in a sound booth and having them coach you. So the coaches all decided that they were going to have to run while doing the audio-only outdoor running. So we put a treadmill in a sound booth so they can actually be running. You hear them, they're out of breath, coaching you through it. But it does change something, by the way. Anyway, so 2,000 people, headquartered in New York City. We have our HQ2 in Plano, Texas, which is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We've got about 400 folks there. And then we have satellite offices in the Bay Area, Atlanta, London, and 3 cities in Taiwan.
So, Tom, it is one thing to be creative, passionate, visionary, to be in a position to be able to have a product like this. It's completely different when you're managing a pretty big operation right now with 2,000 employees. So those growth challenges, what did you encounter? What was most challenging for you, and how did you adapt to that?
Yeah, growing is its own unique challenge. I've got to say, for me, it's been one of the more fun and exciting challenges. This ability to be able to create a sustaining organization that has the capability to churn out new experiences for our consumers on its own, every single day. That is a remarkable feat. We are excited about the massive opportunity that we think still is in front of us. And so the only way to chase that experience is to ensure that we grow the teams responsibly, that we grow the teams to maintain the essence of why we're here, and we grow the teams in a way that allows them to remain interconnected, so that we continue to push out this cohesive experience. So yeah, it's a crazy challenge. I'd say the biggest lesson I've learned along the path is this idea. I equate it to cell division, right? So sorry, but every individual, when they come and they start, and you're a 5-person organization, you're going to divide up all of the tasks of the business among 5 people. As you grow, those tasks are going to become incrementally harder, incrementally larger, right? So those 5 jobs turn into 10 jobs, 10 jobs turn into 20 jobs, 20 jobs turn into 40 jobs. I was only in the liberal arts school, so I can't go any further. Right, but you get the point. And so folks need to understand that coming in. Today, my job is all of these things. Tomorrow, it's going to be half of those things and still twice as big. That's a really hard thing to convey to a human being, right? And make them feel good and make them feel connected to the person who now has the other half of the thing that they used to do. And then get those 2 folks to work really well together. So, we've had to do that time and time again, and we have some of the most incredible employees on earth, because we've been able to go through this time and again. We've gone through it smoothly. 8 years of rapid growth from 5 people to 2,000 people is no easy task, and it relies on people who are able to make that transition and make that transition smoothly.
Oh, absolutely. And I think a lot of companies struggle with this when they are growing. They have leadership which has wonderful strategy to be in a position to grow, but when it comes to having people, you also have to create that culture. And I think, especially in this rapid growth, to have this culture where people are aligned. Do you do anything specific? Are there any programs where you are actually helping develop a particular culture which is consistent with what your vision is?
Yeah, I mean, strategy and culture go hand in hand. There's no good business strategy that ignores the fact that it's human beings that power that business strategy, right? So in order for that business strategy to see the light of day, we need to align people behind it. We need to ensure that people are acting as this cohesive group. And it comes down to hiring great hiring managers who understand that a big part of their job is managing people. Managing people might not be your thing. You might rather manage technology. Well, go do that. Don't manage people. We'll hire the people who manage people instead, right? And so, but taking that as a serious part of your job, ensuring cohesion. That's got to be something that's in your blood when you're hired as a hiring manager. That you are working every single day to keep the peace, to ensure that folks understand why we're making a decision. And then John Foley, who's co-founder, CEO, this is very much his baby. And one of the things that he does every single year since we've started, he loves to host what he calls our culture offsite. We randomly pick 35 people from around the company to represent just a general swath of the company from all different departments. We bring them to an offsite location, and then for an entire day, we work with that team to talk about all the things that we could do better. So for an entire day, we just listen to people say all the reasons why we're screwing up as a company. When it comes to culture and learning and development, and making a great place for people to work, and then we spend the rest of it, the next couple of days, breaking it down and trying to think through what are solutions, and then we task our people team with going and making those part of their goals for the next quarter, for the next couple quarters, for the next couple years. Whatever it means. That's just one of the things that we do, but we keep this as a critical part of how we think about building the organization.
And you are building the organization. One of the things that is associated with great companies is also the focus on diversity and inclusion. What is Peloton doing to be able to address the diversity and inclusion so far?
So it is another big topic. It is one of the topics that comes up in these offsite meetings. Look, we are chasing it as aggressively as we can. We believe that a diverse group of people who bring diverse styles of thinking are going to be the best way for us to continue to innovate. It's also probably the hardest when you want to bring all those people together and cause them to work together. But we from our HR managers to our hiring managers, all the way through the company, this is part of how we run the ship, how we run the operation. That you must focus on creating a diverse workplace in order to have the best ideas.
Great. And I know you have a product, you have a company which has really promoted health, and in a sense, it's really addressing a big societal problem. How do you see in other entrepreneurs, how they can give back to society to be able to make those societal changes? What are your views about that?
That's interesting. I mean, look, I honestly feel blessed that I get to use whatever small amount of talent that I was given to be able to build something that people truly love and that is actually helping change their lives in some of the most extreme cases, or just allow them to have a happier start to their day a couple days a week. That's a really great thing to be able to do. And I also love being able to spend my every day working with people who want to use their talent in that way. So I might have thought that I was going to get into public service or nonprofit. I think through this path, I think I found the best way to be able to give back.
And I agree, and I think you have created an amazing online community, so a virtual community of folks who are actually using this bike and are connected with each other. just for the audience here, especially the alumni and parents who are here at School of Business, we are also trying to create that online community through something called online happy hours, where you can bring your own drink, but I would appreciate if you actually are on a Peloton drinking your drink while exercising and sweating it out next time. Now, I know we are close to the time here, but I know you have just been through an IPO. I don't know what I can ask and what I cannot ask about the IPO. I'll give you this last question. Tell us all you can about the IPO. And congratulations on it, by the way.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is another milestone for us, another part of our journey. For me, for the team, this feels like putting our toes on the starting line. We have spent 8 years trying to prove to the market that this is a market. Prove to folks that we are the team that can create experiences that excite consumers in a whole new way, right? And we think that we've done that. By going through this round of financing, by trading shares publicly in the markets, we've been able to capitalize the business that in a way that really gives us runway to go and chase what we think is truly the race worth winning. Everything to this point has been, in my view, proof of concept, and everything that we still have in store is what we're motivated to do, and we're excited that we were able to take the company public along the path.
Thank you, Tom. We are very proud of you, and with the authority vested in me as the Dean of Business School, I'm calling you an honorary alum of the Business School from now on. Again, thank you all for joining us tonight. I think George Talks Business will continue in its series, and I hope you'll continue to join us. We will actually continue on the road. Our next recording of the new episode will be from Shanghai on Saturday, October 26th. And we invite our alumni to join us in person in China. Our guest will be Dr. Shinya Vivian Wang, founding partner at Beautiful Mind Capital. Live-streamed George Talks Business will continue on Monday, November 4th. Our guest will be Peter Chan, Vice President of Platform Growth at Social Code. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you again.
Thank you.